This conference will now be recorded.
This will start out with flag salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, welcome to the January 3rd, 2023.
July 3rd.
Of July. I want to say January.
Okay. Because he said January last
I'm thinking
week.
about the minutes. I'm thinking about the minutes here. July 3rd, 2023 Marion County Land Bank meeting. First thing on the agenda is approval of January 3 and March 20th minutes.
I'll so move.
I'll second. Okay. Moved by Dave Crowfoot, second by Dave Mueller. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Oh,
Okay,
somebody's
then
on.
Yep, Jonah's on.
Jonah's on.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you got 4-0. He said
4-0 then.
Okay. There's a place to sign on both sides of this.
Okay.
One for each.
Make it tricky.
Thank you.
Next item is the update on the 2002 South Olive demolition, which we had a contract with Middle Creek for demolition. And we do have their invoice and the contracted amount of $6,350. Is there any other discussion on that or update other than it's completed?
Well, I tried to follow up with the city to see if they had taken out all the correct permits and everything. And their city clerk has quit again, so they don't have any, there was no response. So I don't know if they received the permits or not. And I did have information from Sharon Olmsted regarding the amount of solid waste, like the C&D that was forgiven and versus what needs to be paid. And the contractor has not yet been invoiced for that demolition. So I was just signing off on it, so I haven't got a copy.
Okay. So we'll wait on the payment to that contract?
Well, I would say it would be appropriate to approve payment of the invoice pending verification that they have paid the disposal fee at the
Okay.
transfer station.
Okay.
So moved.
Someone want to make a motion then?
Jonah
did. Okay.
I'll second that.
Second. Been moved and second to approve the demolition permit contingent on the fee, payment of the solid waste fee. Any other discussion?
The invoice, right?
Invoice.
Yeah.
Invoice. Only thing I want to make sure is that I didn't see the sewer. If you're talking about the house at Peabody, I didn't see the sewer blocked yet. I don't know what's going on there. That's the only thing that I don't know. Everything else is done. But
So would we want to amend the motion to say in verification received from the city that everything is complete?
correct. Yes. Would you do that, Jonah? Yeah, he probably not hearing me.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, go.
So who does that?
You want to amend your motion to include the sewer?
Contractor.
Yes.
Okay, second that. Yeah, we'll.
That's second.
Okay, second.
I'll check.
Moved by Jonah, seconded by
Is that city?
Dave
contractor?
Crowfoot. Any other discussion?
No, that's the only thing I know about the place that I didn't see that we asked. I think the city permit asked for that, I believe, if I remember right. Yeah, so I just want to make sure that's done too. So, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then Miss B.
That's
It's Monday.
I'm building a pine wood box, so it's been a little rough day.
Okay, the next item would be any approval of any other invoices, which I don't believe we have any.
Oh, there's not.
Okay. Anybody have any new requests?
We'll wait till
Are
this.
you about ready to say something, Randy?
We'll wait till this thing's over with, then we'll see what happens. No, I think we've done a good job. They've done a good job down there so far. Just, we'll verify that sewer deal's done. And,
So you say you'll follow up on that?
I will follow up on
Okay.
it, yes, make sure that is part of it. Because I'm gonna talk to one of them this afternoon anyway.
You're talking about the sewer, it's just not capped off, or?
Well, yeah, that's what the city wants, make sure it's capped off away from, away from the building where they
So
pour it
the,
out.
I told, you weren't here yet, but I mentioned to them, I tried to contact the city to see if everything had been done, and they don't have a city clerk again.
Yeah,
So,
right.
I definitely haven't gotten a response, so if you'll
I'm gonna
follow up,
talk-
that would be great.
I'm gonna talk to the contractor and make sure he can show me where he did that, so that's the only thing I wanna make sure is happening that I know of, it was on the list, and everything else has been pretty good, so.
Any off-agenda items?
I did give you the list again of the properties that are currently on the tax sale, just so you can be aware of them.
We have some attention to that after it's over, we'll see. Oh. Any other discussion? If not, I guess, we'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, moved by Dave, Wheeler, second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can we? Get my minutes.
Quick as you can get.
Just,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we welcome everybody to the July 3rd Marion County Commission meeting as we get ready to celebrate Independence Day tomorrow. We'll start with public comments. There's no one in the room and I don't see anyone online.
No,
We did have a
there's no
mic
one.
drop.
We did have a mic drop.
Or is the, oh, okay, yep. All right, then we are ready for administrative.
Okay. I have the minutes of June 26th. And then the minutes of June 30th.
Any additions or corrections to either? If not, is there a motion to approve both?
Make motion.
A motion by Commissioner Becker,
Second.
second by Commissioner Gehring to approve the minutes of both meetings. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you. We do have a salary change.
We have a salary change in the health department for Aaron Hine. It's the change from Safe Kids Coordinator to Safe Kids and CDRR Program Coordinator, which is part-time, and then part-time with Capers. And it's a change from $17.35 an hour to $18.01 an hour.
And this is something that you had already approved in the,
Yes.
in the past, just.
I just can't remember the acronym. It's chronic disease. Something.
That was you.
It was another program.
Yeah.
Man of the hour.
All right.
Thank you. You might remember a while back, I mentioned that we have a 6-foot strip of property out of the county lake.
Yes.
The land bank at their previous meeting moved to accept that property if the county were to convey it. We've gone back and researched it, and it is, it has been that little, it was basically an error of somebody when they were in the distant past were trying to convey their different properties, and they didn't include that 6-foot strip on one of the conveyances, which is to the, so it was never, it was always in the name of the person who then was deceased, and then, of course, nobody was paying the taxes, so we did get that through a tax sale.
Okay.
So it is appropriate for it to go to the land bank. You might remember the neighboring property that kind of encroaches on this 6-foot strip, which is probably why it was initially retained by the original landowner, has been conveyed to someone, and the taxes are current on that piece, but it's in disrepair and a lot of vegetation, the house is falling in and things like that. So that piece, we don't have any kind of authority over right now, unless planning and zoning decides to look into some sort of a nuisance violation, but those taxes are current. But the 6-foot strip is eligible and should be put into the land bank. If the board wants to take action to transfer it from Marion County to the Marion County Land Bank, and we do have a quick claim deed ready to go to execute for that as well.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Garing to transfer the 6-foot strip of the lake to Marion County Land Bank. Second by Commissioner Galkey. Other questions? Sounds like a good plan.
Just one, no, it's not the proper time, we'll ask you some other time.
Okay.
Yeah.
If not, all those in favor say
Make
aye.
it no.
Aye. All opposed, nay. The motion as stated passes 5-0.
Okay, and then I've got the deed for you to sign, Commissioner. Where it says grantor. Thank you. I have been, I keep getting calls from Marion County Core Community about their budget request. I'm not sure if they understand that what they requested was for next budget year. But I just want to make sure that it stays on the radar there. I didn't know if you want to look at doing anything in the current year, any kind of an allocation, or just consider it for next year's budget. So that was just an item that I put on for discussion.
Okay. Commissioner Galkey, did you?
No,
have-
I'm just thinking it out.
Okay.
And other than that, I do not have any more administrative business.
Commission want to take any action on the core request?
Almost there.
Well, for next, I mean.
Next year.
It's for next budget year,
Right.
so you can decide if you wanna put a line in the budget for an allocation, and what that amount would be. I mean, they, were requesting any amount, and then when they left, they said that 50,000
Yeah.
would be helpful.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, you know,
50,000.
but any amount, and
Sure.
so I just wanted to, generally on those allocations, you can put them in, but we don't, consider them approved until you take a specific action, and a lot of times we have to take that action at the beginning of the budget year, that's it.
Correct.
So, anyway, just, when you're doing the budget prep with Scott,
Good refresher then.
right, and it may be nice to know ahead of that whether you wanna put a line in for it or not, so that he can add it.
I guess the first question, my first question to the commission is there a desire to put money in the budget for core? Not an amount, but just put an amount. And if so, then we'll tackle the issue of the amount.
I believe that what they do does actually turn out towards less tax dollars spent by their intervention, getting people off.
Bill would Hillsborough too.
Well, I think they're all over the county.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
She's actually, one of them's up from Lost Springs or lives up there somewhere.
yes, we should support it as a commission.
Did we ever do anything for circles? Okay.
It's something different now.
Yeah, well, this I think is a better arrangement for us.
How about next Monday, we have a recap of the other requests and have it in the packet so the commission has a chance to review them.
I think we need to look at all requests.
Right,
and-
that we have not approved.
Yeah, that we've not been approved.
We've heard a lot of requests and we didn't take
Yeah.
action on it. So Tina, if you could help us
Okay.
summarize
I can do
those
that.
and present them for next Monday, that way we would have you an answer before the 14th. Not
Sounds
much
good.
before, but a
That's
little bit
fine.
before. I think it'd be good to review.
I think you're gonna get more and more of those,
Oh,
because
yeah.
those organizations have always been funded by donations
Right.
historically. Of course, those donations are going down. So we're relying on the county to fill the gap.
Are we budgeting during the Monday's meeting too?
No.
No, the 14th, you said Monday.
Yeah, Monday we'll review
That
requests,
request.
so we have them before.
Okay.
All right.
That's all I have.
All right. That completes administrative. We'll move into road and bridge. Some rice in the hallway. Welcome to the last firing line.
Gotcha. All right. For approval, we have area fuel bids. Of course, this is broke up again. Recommend approval, area 1 and 3 from EPS and area 2 from MFA.
Do those 2 sets here.
They should be all stapled together.
Oh, it's okay, just 1 set.
I got one more copy from that.
Okay, is there a motion from the commission? If not, I'll have to move to accept the recommendation.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gehring. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, we've actually gone out at 220th and Eagle, 230th and Eagle, and put up one road closed barricade on either end for that road vacation. Just for the fact is trying to, I believe it's totally out of our hands now as far as the vacation, but there was no time frame given for the gates, whatever, to go up. So I don't know if someone needs to, or if it's, we did it just out of courtesy to put that up there, but, because honestly, anybody or anything that drives up and down that road is now a landowner's responsibility.
All right, Brad, what are your thoughts on what action should be taken?
I understood that the landowner was gonna put that gate up.
I did, that's what I'm saying, but there was no time frame given for that, and if it's not closed, I just wanna, obviously work, the county, as far as I'm concerned, is not on the hook anymore, but
Okay, Brad said he'd take
I'll
send
send
a
a
letter
letter.
to the landowners.
just to
You got
say,
it.
hey, as soon as they get them blocked off, the better off, I would say.
Yeah.
Do we need to give them any kind of
Timeframe, probably
point?
30 days.
Property line boundary?
Oh,
Well, we've already talked about that, it was
Shouldn't have,
150 feet
yeah.
or whatever it was off of
But
it.
there should be their official pin or something, otherwise they,
Again, that's what was talked about in the vacation, those dimensions, or those locations, so.
I don't know if somebody needs to
Technically.
go out and just drive a stake.
we
like-
could, but technically it's really theirs at that point.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
our public
Center of the road.
goes to a certain point and we maintain that. From there on, it's private property now, and if they want to protect themselves, they'll need to get it in there.
It behooves them to take care of it, because
Yeah.
if somebody drives down there wrecks or whatever else. then
I'm
they
sure they
can
probably
just-
want to anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Had so many people off today, we weren't able to blade patch, we're gonna start again on Wednesday. They're moving back to Pilsen, they're done with the Roxbury Road, 330th, Quail Creek down to 330th, 340th. And so they'll be working on Quail Creek and Remington, on the blade patching.
And Remington's really starting to
Yep.
pop.
Yep. I guess there was some white paint spread out again this week. So.
I didn't read them, but it
Okay.
was there.
Yeah, so, but anyway, they're working on that. Vance Brothers, Chris was just in Friday and said their plan is probably the last week of July as of now. moving in. So get started on that. I think the road and bridge crews probably have the rest of the month just getting the blade patching done as well. So that's kind of been going on there. I sent you the transition information. You want to have a quiz on that right now?
I don't know how many have had a chance to
Okay,
read it,
okay.
but
There is
it
a
was in our email.
Yeah, there is a tremendous amount of information
Yes.
in there.
A
that-
couple hours ago. Lots of
Yeah,
quiz.
yeah.
And I appreciate the summary.
Yeah, I tried to think of anything and everything that I could to put in there. So if there's any questions, whatever else, you can let me know or whatever else, but, so.
You got one sitting down? I'll just take it. You got one. Yes, you got. Thank you, I can read it better than I can on the
Yeah.
computer.
Fitting glasses.
Yeah.
See, it's all that extra hair that's flying around, that's
Yeah.
getting on your glasses.
You got any more business, sir?
As a matter of fact, no, I don't, so. Anyway, that's it unless you guys have anything else, so.
Thank you for the job you've done for Marion County, and good luck in your new endeavors. And, we'll be here.
But I appreciate that.
Thank you for the job you've done.
It's been a fun 4 years, so I wish you guys and the road, bridge, and the county best of luck and all the stuff that comes up. So, like I said, with that transition stuff, there's an awful lot of stuff that can be there. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Okay?
I'd like to think there's been a lot done in the last 4 years for Marion County, so we appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you.
Appreciate your service, Brian.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're actually 15 minutes ahead of schedule for our interview. Brad, would you want to knock, or Tina, did you have something?
No, I was just gonna mention that I see that Dr. Coyle is on
Oh.
the virtual meeting there,
Okay.
so, but I don't know if you,
Move him up.
Yeah, if he's ready. Dr. Coyle, are you online? Could you unmute?
yep, he does.
Yes, I am here.
Oh,
How are you?
awesome. Would you be willing to go a few minutes early?
That'd be perfectly fine.
All right,
Yep.
well, it's very unusual for us to be ahead of schedule, but in this case we are, and you're here, and we've got your information, and we're excited to hear your presentation on how you can help us on this road, this new adventure that we feel will be a great asset for Marion County in creating the position of county administrator. So it's not a part of replacing one, but we're actually creating and starting from scratch. So it's going to be a little more of a challenge.
Yeah, certainly, certainly. No, it's my pleasure to be here. Do you want me to just kick off and introduce myself, or how would
Yes,
you like to begin?
just a little background. We are in open meeting, so we do have a member of the press here, and we are public. I might let the 5 commissioners introduce themselves. Let's start.
Randy Dalkey, County Commissioner.
Sorry, he can't see you, so,
Okay.
because I don't
Okay.
have a good camera here. Now you can do it.
Randy Dalkey, County Commissioner, District 3.
Dave Crowfoot, District 4.
Ken Becker, District 1.
Jonah Gearing, District 5.
And David Mueller, District 2. So now we'll turn it over to you.
Why, thank you. Pleasure to meet all of you, certainly virtually here. Just if I can see a few of you, give me a thumbs up to make sure that I'm being heard okay. All right, perfect. Just want to check on that technical. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present today. Just maybe I thought I'd give you a brief background, a little bit of a history of where I find myself with doing executive search work, and then I would just open it up for any questions that you might have of me. So first of all, I applaud you for the consideration and then the movement and the vote to get to the position of county administrator. I am a county administrator myself, and I also regularly consult and talk with other counties who are endeavoring to pursue or considering the move or reestablishing a position that's long dormant as a county administrator or manager. So I am a very strong proponent of the profession, what I call the profession of local government administration. So just wanted to start by saying that I think you made a very good move, and I think it's a wise move for the county to make. So brief background, I am in upstate New York. I'm in the Finger Lakes area of New York State. I'm more towards Rochester and Buffalo. I've been with the county for 15 years. I started as the second county administrator in the county, so we've only had 2 county administrators in the county's history. The position was created in the 80s, and that gentleman served for 22 years, and I served for 15 years. Before coming here, I worked for a village government, so in New York, that's like a small city. My county is 65,000 people. We have a very robust service profile, so we have a lot of people, probably more so than we normally would have for a population our size, because we run a public nursing home. So we had actually 1,200 employees and 32 departments and about $180 million budget. I've been teaching and consulting, teaching for about 15 years, so I teach other people to be county administrators and city managers. So I teach in various MPA programs, Masters of Public Administration programs across the country. Obviously, I do that in an online format because I can't be 17 places at once. But closest to you, I teach and have taught for many years at the Northern Illinois University Masters of Public Administration program. Like Kansas, it's one of the top ranked programs for aspiring city county managers in the country. And I teach primarily public financial management and public administration. In 2018, my employment agreement with the county was changed, just to provide you some context, to allow me to consult with other counties and cities, because I was being asked to help them out with either a new administrator manager or creating a position or finding someone for the position. So in order to sort of maintain ethical safeguards, I have an employment agreement provision that allows me to consult on an infrequent basis. So a handful of times per year, I will assist other places with a city or a county administrator search. I have handled a few county administrator searches for counties that are small in size. So not as small as your county is population-wise, but certainly in the 30,000, 40,000 population range. I'm based in New York State, but I have a national presence. So just to quell any qualms that you might have as far as my ability to source and find individuals across the country or in the state of Kansas or in that region. I'm very well known nationally in terms of county administrators. I'm on the National Association of County Administrators Board, actually with a neighboring county administrator to you, Saline County. Philip Smith Haynes is a colleague and a network friend, and we see and talk to each other periodically throughout the year. We're on that board together, so we're very familiar with him. I've recently spoken at the Missouri City County Management Association at their conference. I'm under contract in Coconino County, Arizona, of all places, for handling talent acquisition efforts for that county. So again, just wanted to describe in detail the footprint that I have as far as involvement across the United States, really. And then the National Association of Counties. Based in DC, the lobbying advocacy group for all counties, very involved and connected with them. So I would have a natural bridge into the Kansas Association of Counties and sort of connect with them if I was to, be chosen for this search and commence the search. And then finally, just kind of wanted to segue into what I would feel is sort of like my very unique presence in the field. What you found, and certainly I did see, I've been following your story and your, I guess you could say your experience. So I just wanted to comment quickly on that. I have a very simple Google News search alert that alerts me to anytime county administrator or county manager hits the web. So I just kind of like to be in the know of what's going on nationally. So oftentimes I find news stories across the country where individual counties are exploring the form of government change or establishing a position. So that's actually how I found out you were going down this road. And I communicated with the county clerk relative to the RFP in May, and lo and behold, I'm here talking to you. So that's sort of how I found out, because I like to sort of be in the know of what's going on across the country. And I would not have responded if I didn't feel that I would be able to provide value to you in the county as far as it relates to the search. Again, I have a national presence. I'm a known name across the country for county administrators. I'm very proud to say that I am. I've also assisted places, and I am presently assisting places where it's the first. So I helped out a place recently where it was the first city manager. So they created the position, it was new. I'm helping out a city in New York State that is, again, the first city manager position they've ever had. And I'm helping out 2 counties, kind of doing the slow roll, as I call it. They're sort of very, very methodically going through the process of, in their cases, reestablishing the position that was a 20 to 25-year dormant position in their counties. And so I'm assisting them with going through that process. So again, I think many firms are geared towards cities and towns and what I would call municipalities, and I think I have kind of a unique perspective, being that I am a practitioner, so I know counties. We run a land bank. I heard your presentation on the land bank. I was sitting in the audience here virtually. EMS, public health, dealing with elected official department heads, some kind of unique separators and differentiators in terms of county government versus other forms of government, other levels of government, I should say. That's sort of what I bring to the table as a practicing county administrator. And also, lastly, I was the first administrator in a community before. So I kind of, it wasn't a county, it was a small city, what we call villages in New York. So I know what it's like to be the first in a community. And kind of hopefully would have that learned experience to add value to your search process. So I know that was a mouthful, but I wanted to make sure I could get through sort of a bio, a Reader's Digest version of where I'm coming from, what I can bring to the table, who I am, how I would sort of approach this process, and I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Well, that was an excellent summary. Every time I started to write down a question, that's when you dove into that particular area. So my first area of concern was your experience in a small or rural county. And you said you have done some in the 30 to 40,000 population range. We're at about 12.7. So a much smaller county. In our minds, we still have big issues and big things to tackle. But to get the right fit, I think that the commission is united in for this position to be successful, we have to have the right person. And it's got to be someone that can fit with our public officials and with our department heads and with our community. So it's going to be absolutely critical that we get the right person for this position. What special key ingredient do you bring to the table that can help us get that candidate?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I would say the unique arrangement that I bring to the table certainly is that I am a practicing county administrator. I know county administration, I know budgeting, I know the type of candidate profile that you'll be looking at, I know what key competencies that you're going to be seeking. In addition, I know the nuances and the peculiarities of having to be the very first administrator for a small rural county. So I think that those are certainly what I would present as my separators. And to your point, finding that right mix and that balance of skill sets, characteristics, competencies, background skills is going to be very important. And you kind of want to do it under the lens of comfort that person's going to have coming into a situation eyes wide open as the very first administrator for a county.
Very good. All right. Kent?
Kind of going back to what David talked about, we have to have the right fit. For such a rural county, do you weigh anything into that as far as culture or the person, urban versus rural, when you're looking at those kind of persons that will make the right fit? Because, culture, I'm sure, is a little different here in central Kansas than it is upstate New York.
You know what? You would be surprised. Maybe not. We're sort of far enough removed from a lot of the urban centers, so we have a little bit of a different quality of life, a little bit of a different political dynamic, a little bit of a different kind of community development aspect. And there's a technical term called rurality, which kind of sounds kind of goofy, but sort of like the rural nature and the rural character of the county. We're full of a lot of farms. I work for a 17-member board of supervisors, and I think I have 4 active farmers on my county board. So we have a very, sort of that mix. So again, I'm coming to it from that background. Yes, we're more populated. Yes, we happen to run a few more services. But if I look at your service mix and profile, to your question, I think where you were going is that, you want to find someone who has a comfort in, the nimbleness of operations, the being able to be a generalist, a little bit of a jack of all trades. Certainly want somebody with some budget experience, comfort level there, operational management, kind of driving performance and efficiencies, things of that nature, but also dealing with the constituency. So dealing with the elected official department heads, dealing with all the department heads that would kind of fall under the purview of the county administrator, dealing with the board that this is new to them as well. So trying to kind of really extract that out through the interview process and the search process, try to find out a person who would be a good fit. It doesn't need to come from a county, but sometimes a county director, department head, or deputy would be a good fit. Sometimes a small city or a decent sized city, an assistant or a CAO, one of those jurisdictions kind of coming up to the county. That's what happened to me. I came from a very small city of 8,000 to a county of 64,000. So that was sort of my personal pattern. So those do exist and are certainly possible and plausible in a situation like yours.
Thank you.
So interview recruitment guarantees. So say 3 months down the road, it's just not working out. Do you provide any assurances? Go back to number 2, bring them back to us, anything like that in your?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So let me start with, in the profession of local government management, if those individuals are subscribing to what's called the International City County Management Code of Ethics, and that goes across the country, really internationally, but really it's primarily dominated by USA city and county administrator managers. When they make a decision to accept a position, they are minimally supposed to be there for a service period of 2 years. So let me start with that. So that's sort of like under the Code of Ethics, you sort of honor the employment obligation by serving 2 years. Now, 2023, things have gotten, I'm sure as you can empathize with, a whole lot of whack. People are more apt to jump ship a little earlier in positions of all types and sizes and scopes. Long answer to your short question. If an individual were to leave within 2 years, or basically less than 2 years, I would just, continue to do the search or restart a search or start another search, free of any additional charges to the county. But I would hopefully expect that individual, once vetted and once chosen, would honor that obligation. But if they were to not honor that obligation, I would do what I just said.
And then, so, we have a generalized job description. Would you provide any assistance in tweaking that, making sure it's up to snuff?
Yeah, certainly. I did take a quick look at it, but if I was to be engaged, I would certainly, be looking to connect with you all and see if we could maybe take a look at any potential refinements. And certainly that would lead into what eventually becomes the, position profile, which serves as the basis for a recruitment advertisement, brochure, and the actual framing of all the key competencies of, because not every city county manager is created equal in terms of what the jurisdiction wants. Sometimes the laws are a little bit different, the regs are different, the setup was different, the job description is a little bit different. So making sure that aligns well with the position profile, I would certainly be looking to do that with all of you guests.
Then you said you're a county manager now. How many square miles is your county? Just
684.
684. So we are 966.
Close to 1,000.
Yep.
So we got yeah, it's pretty comparable. Go ahead, Commissioner Dahl.
After you put out a search and you come up with a, let's say 6 people or so, how would you project going from the 6 down to, would you interview all 6 or would you go from there? And then the other thing about going on down that is all those 6, would they be thoroughly checked out, their background, to where any problems could be seen?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I would, getting down to like the level of finalists, I would certainly upon engagement, want to match up and mesh with whatever your desires are. So if you want a finalist pool of X number, that would be my my lens from which I would commence the search. So getting down to that point in time, if there's a group of, let's just say, 6 finalists, I will all have already done some kind of pre-vetting. It wouldn't have been the paid background search type service, but it would certainly be social media checks, Google checks, reference checks, all the way up to that level. And a lot of times, the stuff that's publicly out, minutes, searches, and things like that are available if they're already in the public realm, like they're a city, municipal or county administrator. And then getting to the last level of, probably the 2 or 3 finalists, and you're ready to make a decision. At that point in time, you're talking about educational verification, the formal background check where you need the individual's, social security number to check a little bit more of a broader, and also more acute screen on their background.
Okay.
Other questions?
All mine's been answers.
I asked a couple of them, and then I just happened to be on the page, and it says, "Oh yeah, we'll help you refine your job description."
Yeah.
What are your experiences of places to find the best candidates?
In today's recruitment environment, a lot of times folks are not looking for a position, so you have to sort of go and find them. And I think that's also where I've been able to separate myself a little bit, because I take this as from like a project management basis. So this is a defined project with deliverables, with desired outcomes, and a desired goal. And so I kind of look at it like a challenge. And the way sometimes nowadays it's a little bit different. So you have to go find people. So for me, that in your particular place, it's certainly Kansas. It's the Association of Counties. It's talking to my peers in that area. It's talking to neighboring states and my peers there. Reaching out to alumni associations that produce county administrators and managers. It's talking to people who might know of a good deputy who's ready to take the leap, so to speak, who wants to be a chief administrative officer. Using things like LinkedIn and other professional networking sites. I just looked real quickly, and I've got like 127 individuals that have experience and/or are presently working in the state of Kansas, who I would be leaning on in my own individual network to see if they might be aware, might be looking. And then I really just kind of go and just do some browsing and really just see who might be on paper a candidate. They might not have applied, they might not have expressed interest, but I know the job enough where I could say, hey, this individual looks to have some skill sets, that have some background, base level resume points, they're checking a lot of boxes, and I'll go send them almost word of mouth, like a cold call, email, or a phone call, and I'll reach out and say, would you have any interest in this position? And I'm working with them, and here's the opportunity. Happy to answer any questions. Please consider applying, things like that. But you got to do a lot of that to generate interest nowadays, because it is a little bit different recruitment environment. I mean, the days of dozens and dozens of individuals applying for each and every opportunity are not there. So you need to be very kind of methodical, surgical, specific, and frankly aggressive and assertive in the approach.
I know you've hit on the issue, but I'm going to bring back to it. I guess in my mind, the biggest concern I have is proximity. I think of Marion County, Kansas, drawing to that culture, as Commissioner Becker had talked about, knowing the pool of people in this area. So reassure me on how you can address that concern from rural New York. I know you mentioned contacts in the area, but reinforce that for me.
Yeah, certainly. Well, the first is connecting with you all individually if I'm chosen for the engagement, and that means doing a formal, it's quick, it's not like some elongated process, but doing a formal needs assessment with all of you, and if you desire, the department heads and the elected official department heads do a little bit of a more refined approach to a needs assessment as far as what you exactly want. So that'll help inform and refine the process with respect to who is the desired candidate. Whether you're in Marion County, Kansas, or Livingston County, New York, the competencies, the characteristics, what we want out of this position, and hey, what are our challenges organizationally? What are our challenges operationally? What are we looking forward for the future? All those things, irrespective of location and proximity, are issues that you need to know up front in order to find a candidate that's the best fit and match for your position, no matter where you are, no matter where you think you're going to draw from. So I think that's what I would do, and I do a really good job at it because I know the business, I know the work, I've done it for 15 years, I'm known nationally for doing it very well. So I think that's sort of where I would be the separator, and then it's just kind of going out from there and searching. Yes, you're likely going to find a more localized interest, potentially given the rural nature of the county, but it's not necessarily that case. We've seen other places where they pull from regional, national, kind of bordering state circles because of the interest. They want to be the first administrator. They're ready to take the lead. They're ceiling where they are, so their county administrator and their population of 32,000 is not going anywhere, and this represents an opportunity for them to spread their wings and kind of be the professional they want to be. So that would be the assurance I would hopefully relay to you, and then I would be able to do that.
Very good, I appreciate that. Chan, I'm going to change gears again a little bit. Since we are, again, and you've mentioned several times and you've had experience with being that first county administrator, in your mind, what is the biggest challenge for that first county administrator? The biggest challenge for the position candidate, and the biggest challenge for the county and the department heads making that adjustment?
So I'll start with the county. I think the challenge with the county, the department heads is the newness of it, making sure it works, capitalizing and sort of effectuating what you said you wanted to put into effect, and not sort of hamstringing it in any way. So that means really buying into it. You bought into it figuratively, but now you're actually going to have someone. So you sort of have to kind of get through the bumps in the road a little bit and sort of see how things work. But certainly it's the collective buy-in to make sure that if there's powers and responsibilities and duties that indeed those used to either not be present or be present with someone else, those are now with the administrator. So I think just making sure that that's there when you actually put it into effect. I also think it's supports, whether it be having a formal performance process, a performance appraisal process, so everybody's in the know of how things are going. Communication. Certainly budgetary supports, professional development supports down the road. I think so that's how the county can kind of assure that this will be successful if they sort of buy in now and putting it into effect where you've already proverbially and figuratively and preemptively bought in by actually creating the position going down this road in the first place. And I think the individual coming in needs to know that this is a first, so it's not going to, there's no, well-oiled machine from just the administrators. You might be doing well operationally, but there's no examples to point from. There's no past practices. There's no, things to point to again. So I think it's coming in, you have to make your mark and have that level of confidence. So having worked in an administrator form of government is going to be a plus, so they'll know some of those expected norms and things of that nature. So I think that would be, as you go through the recruitment, something to pull from and look for. So that would be, my take on what both sides should be really doing to make sure this is a success.
Very good. Any other final questions?
You were talking about, you alluded to the performance appraisal. On a position like this where it's a brand new position, brand new administrator, do you recommend more than one performance appraisal per year?
I think one would be sufficient. However, I think because it is brand new and the person's going to be brand new to the county, I think that likely brand new to the county unless you had some very strong internal applicant that would be buying an aspiring applicant. I would recommend, certainly if it's not a formal performance appraisal, certainly regular communicative check-ins of some sort with either the full governing body. Not that they're going to not be doing that on a regular basis, reporting and administrative reports and updates to the commission, et cetera, but in presence in front of you at minutes and meetings and agendas. I think it's just something specific to how are things going, what are the key projects, what are the key deliverables, when you have expectations. I liken the arrangement of what you have established and I work under, and I very much value this arrangement, is composer-conductor. So you compose policies, strategic plans, visions for the county, how you want to move forward, where you want things going. That's your role as elected officials, as the governing body, as the overseers, right? And then below that, if you will, reporting up to you, is the administrator who's charged with the conducting of that composition with all the elected official department heads, with the appointed department heads, and they then sort of make everything work and sort of try to conduct the policy and the strategies as you wanted to see done in the first place.
Mr. Gary?
Yeah, so you said, going back to being the first, what were you staffed with? I mean, how many people? I know you would oversee the whole, what did you say, village? But they,
Yep.
but I mean, direct staff, what did you wind up with for direct staff to assist you in making your job?
Yeah. So when I was the very first village administrator, which would be akin to a city administrator, it's 8,000 population people, about a $7 million budget, couple $1 million capital budget, about 100 employees. It was a college town, so we had a strong police presence, public works, code enforcement, economic development, ambulance, fire was volunteer, and the mayor and the council. I did not have any direct reports. I actually instead sort of went from the CFO treasurer title, like budget director title, into the manager title, and we never backfilled so I was both. So I actually retained that as opposed to trying to add staff. If I was going to be there for a long period of time, I probably would have tried to make some recommendations to certainly combine the clerk treasurer, to have that sort of administrative position under me a little bit set up differently. But that was not the case. In other arrangements where, so for example, when I was the second county administrator, where my predecessor was the very first, it was a county at that point in time of about 55,000 or so people. They no deputies, no assistants. There was a secretary shared with the county attorney, which would be like the county counselor. So there was a secretary shared amongst a couple of different positions that were kind of department head people. And there was an administrative assistant who was really doing business as the county's purchasing director. So there wasn't really a setup where they had expansive, staff component. It was really having to do a lot of things, kind of like a generalist. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that's a big concern. Being in such a small county, you can't really afford to just load up a bunch of staff, so.
Yeah, I think that speaks to the recruitment and what you'd be looking for. You want someone that is a generalist who has some diversity of experience, scope of services, breadth of services under their, under their purview. So really a city of a decent size is going to have a lot of that stuff, and usually, chief cook and bottle washer kind of a concept at times. So you really want that in a county where you're going to have to be able to, speak about public works stuff, talk about finance, deal with the constituent, help out with public information, drive efficiencies, talk to a state senator, congresswoman. You're going to need to do all of that stuff. And I think if a city or a department director or a deputy in another county likely has that scope of service experience that you're going to be wanting and needing in a county, just because that nimble nature of the position is going to not allow for a very much a tunnel vision channeled, individually specific experienced person. You want that diversity and expansiveness.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right. Okay. Dr. Coyle, we really appreciate your time. You've given us a lot of very valuable information. I think I've seen a lot of nods of heads that we've appreciated your presentation today and the interaction. We are in the process of interviewing some other potential companies to help us down this road, but I think you've been a real asset to us in this first step.
Well, thank you. It was my pleasure to connect with you. I very much look forward to hearing back from you. I'd love the opportunity to help you out. I think I would do a great job. I think that I speak the language of counties. It's a soft spot in my heart for county governments, and I think that you'd be hard pressed to find someone that knows county government more than me in this world of executive searches, even big firms and small firms. So I leave you with that, and look forward to hearing back from you. Wish you luck with all your future interviews and the rest of the meeting, and hope you have a great 4th of July as well.
Very good. The same to you, and thank you, Dr. Coyle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Independence Day.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, take care.
I didn't know, sorry, Tina, if you had any questions.
No. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't believe our other applicant is online yet, so, or the other firm.
I hate to go on, do you have something we can do in public?
Yes.
Okay, excellent, Brad. I will, when we see them come on, we may.
This one probably would be something we can handle
Okay.
easily within that time frame.
All right.
You have it electronically as well, but just in case everyone doesn't have immediate access to that. Nothing right now, I think I do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Has Sharon had a chance to?
I sent it to her, she is not.
One more.
Need another one? Okay, there we go.
Thank you.
There we go.
That's
I
okay.
printed one
I
for myself.
can do it online.
Yeah.
Okay. I tried to keep this as generalized as I could and cover all the various, at least buzzwords. And I'd asked Sharon for some input on that as well, and then checked with several other states and counties. And pulled that together in terms of the general description, which I think covers the bases and the waterfront on it. And then set it out looking at a pretty lengthy time frame, because I don't know how planning and zoning, they're gonna have to be educated on it as well, to put together a structured form of suggested regulations, and how the breadth and scope of those really somewhat dependent upon what they feel is necessary to regulate the area, and I'll probably give input on that as well. And that's really all this does, is establishes the fact that any applications for that type of activity would basically be frozen. If you want to change the amount of time, I chose 12 months. Maybe that's too long, but I don't know that it is, given what's on their plate in other areas and other things that they have to do, and that this is still a relatively new area for governmental entities to regulate, and it's changing regularly and on a monthly basis, quite frankly. So that's what it's intended to do. Covers the waterfront in terms of any kind of cryptocurrency kind of mining, those sorts of things, as well as Bitcoin activity in a commercial sense. There are agencies that will come in and do work with Bitcoin as well, and that leads to this, and vice versa. So I inserted both into this so that it could be.
So we have to renew this in a year then?
If you wish to, within a year, it gives the planning and zoning a year to put something together
Okay.
for you.
And if they don't, we'd have to renew
Yeah.
with a new resolution.
Do you have to put a time frame? Can you just say until they have the regs developed?
I could do it that way. It's just that most of the ones I've seen did put some type of a time frame. So I just followed that pattern. I don't know of any reason that I would be required to do so, other than if you get someone who comes in with interest, they are gonna inherently typically wanna know, well, long before you decide whether you're gonna accept our application or not.
I have not done much research on what we're talking about here. But if something come in and set up in our county, and we discovered this, they was operating out of our county, does this rule here?
Allows us to do a cease and desist.
Cease and desist, okay, that's not my place.
Yeah, the main concern there is noise, energy use.
Power,
Yeah.
power provision, and the server screen.
Yeah.
We have some screening processes in place that cover the kind of the broad scope of it anyway in terms of permitting. But we have nothing literally in our code that would be directly applicable
So that's,
And other counties are drawing up
Yeah,
their regulations.
right.
So 12 months should give us time to give the planning commission time.
Planning starting on,
and if they find that it's gonna be longer than that, Sharon's very good about, I think, coming and saying, not a chance we're gonna have this in 12 months, and then you could act on it much, well, you know, in a significantly greater amount of time in advance of this, that you don't push the limit.
But I just heard Tina's question, you know, and things don't happen as fast as we think sometimes, so I think that was a very good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too, no, I don't have
It
a
all
problem.
goes back to decibels.
Yeah.
Other
Have a
questions?
resolution number?
It's.
13. Lucky 13.
2023-13.
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve resolution number 2023-13 in regards to regulation of Bitcoin and commercial cryptocurrency mining.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Becker, second by Commissioner Garing. Each by a split second.
Yeah.
Other discussion or questions? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
I tried to give it to you, Reggie.
That's all right.
I was doing the head nod.
You're closer for
You
sound.
have an extra one, so.
Broke that sound barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have heard horror stories in at least one other county, I think at least two counties.
Just an extra copy for you.
Thank you. We don't want that repeated here. I think once regulations are in place, we'll take care of it.
Basically gotta build a vault basement to drown sound.
But in other counties that didn't have regulations, it was,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All kinds of air conditioning units, keep it at 70 degrees. Got all kinds of power consumption, so you're hearing the transformers hum.
yeah.
Then you're hearing the servers hum, because they're screaming at as fast a rate they can.
Trailer full of servers.
Well, they're doing mathematical equations, and that's how the high mathematical equations. Every time one is solved, it creates a Bitcoin. Yeah.
All I know, it's a lot of power, a lot of heat, a lot of noise.
Here we go. I wish I would've bought that.
Some people
way back in
have
the
started
day.
taking their salary in Bitcoin.
They took a
I
hurt there
understand
for a minute.
one of the candidates for president
Yeah.
takes his salary in Bitcoin.
Maybe the commissioners should do that. I think I'd prefer check.
Currency, I requested.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, I don't see the other, do you have something for just a couple minutes?
Nothing that's that short.
All right, well, we just kind of recess until we see the other candidate come online, just to start something. How about a stand and stretch?
Yeah.
Okay, and I see that, Mr. Diedoff is online.
Okay, John, this is Dave Mueller, Marion County Commission. Can you hear me? I cannot hear you.
Unmute.
He is unmuted, but we're still not hearing.
Strange.
Probably in the settings, probably has the wrong microphone.
It's on this end.
Just double checking.
Yeah.
All right, we're still not hearing you. Your microphone is green, but we can't hear you.
In your settings, does you have your internal microphone?
John, get up again.
Okay, I'm back on.
Hey, yes.
Oh, okay. All right, guys. I got no IT people anymore. It's just me, so.
Well, John, welcome. We appreciate.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Okay, I'm going to do a quick introduction around the room if Tina can do the camera for us. So I'm Dave Mueller, Chairman.
Jonah Gehring, District 5.
Kent Becker, District 1.
Dave Crowfoot, District 4.
Randy Dalkey, District 3.
Okay. Thank you.
Chairman is District 2.
Okay.
Well, John, we appreciate your interest in helping us on this adventure. We're starting on a new adventure into professional management for our county, and we are in full agreement that it's absolutely critical that we get the right person for this position. Everything hinges on getting the right person for this position. So tell us how you can help us get the right person for this position.
Yes. Well, again, appreciate the opportunity and appreciate the fact that you guys are looking at professional management now. But, you know, as our proposal shows, I recently joined the LEAPS program, LEAPS, to help them with their searches. I was doing some on my own, kind of right at retirement time, and then decided to team up with the league. I did a little interim executive director job with the league for about 3 months, and thought that our partnership could do very well. You know, I thought a little bit about this, and I've been involved in probably 20 plus city manager, city administrator searches, and I believe maybe 2 of those were counties here in Kansas. And I can tell you, it's a different process, and it's a different understanding of you know, what, you know, cities do and what counties do, and, you know, county administrator and management is different than, you know, city, and as you guys know, just simply based on the services that you provide and, you know, the elected department head situations. But, you know, I believe that, you know, the recruitment of your next or your first county administrator could possibly be somebody from the city ranks. A lot of times, you know, counties right now in Kansas, I think, have maybe 20 counties that have professional city or county management. Maybe, I think that number could be right. And so it's a different search. But my philosophy is that, you know, it's all about leadership. It's about management style. It's about people that know how to build effective relationships with governing bodies, with employees, and also with you know, the residents that you all serve. And so I think my 40 years of experience in local government, I've worked in 2 cities where we had county managers, county administrators, and so I really got a really good feel as to what those individuals brought to the county, and I heard a lot of feedback from their elected officials about how impressed they were with professional management. And so I don't think it's that big a reach, you know, for city managers, administrators to move over to the county side. I think if you look around the state, those that have professional managers in the county side, several of them probably come from, you know, come from local government cities. So in the league, we've got a great network, we got a good organization, I think we've got a good reputation, and of course, my 40 years in the business in Kansas, I know the Kansas network very well. Not saying that all your candidates are going to come from Kansas, but I think I've got a pretty good feel for the landscape local professional management in Kansas anyway.
Very good. Tell us a little bit about your process. How will you
Yeah.
search? To me, that would be the first part, is how do you even come up with the candidates?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the first and probably the most important part of the process is that we would sit down with each of you, probably via survey. We could do it in person and get a little bit of information from each of you as to what you're looking for in your county administrator, really developing a profile, education level, management level, city experience, county experience, whatever you guys feel is important. And then that begins to develop the profile of the job ad that we would put out there. And with that, then we would also develop the community profile, which talks about Marion County and all that you have to offer to candidates. And so it's a very important first step to really hear, from each of you as to what you view as the most important traits or the qualifications that you want to see in your next or in your first county administrator. And so that would be the first step that we would proceed with once if the lead from the league was hired to help you with your process. Once that's done, then I take that information, put that into a job profile, basically, that we would use to develop the job ad that we would put out. We would advertise it in numerous locations and websites, and we've got about 10 or 12 that we typically recommend. And then obviously the collection of resumes would happen. I would spend time during that time actually talking to people that I know that may be interested or might be looking. Sometimes people aren't really looking to move, but a tap on the shoulder kind of tweaks their interest a little bit, and all of a sudden they become a viable candidate. And so not only just putting ads in publications and on websites, but also reaching out to people I think might be interested or might be qualified for your position. So it's about anywhere from a 10 to 12 week process from the time we get the profile developed, depending upon your guys' schedule. But I like to see job ads out, 4 to 6 weeks, so we get adequate time to get people interested in the process, and then from there we'll go through a screening process. I always like to let the governing bodies see all the candidates, all the applications if you want, or at least a list of names. And then we go through a kind of a review process internally of the league where we'll rate candidates, and we'll develop a list of what we think are maybe the top 10 or so, and then sit down with you and discuss each one of those. You guys might have them ranked differently, and we can share, what we saw in each one of them. And then from that point, hopefully get it down to maybe a semifinalist list where you want to do maybe some Zoom video interviews, and then narrow it down to finalists that you would bring in for, final in-person interviews with you all. So in some places, governing bodies like to involve others in that process, whether it be department heads for a sit-down conversation with candidates, whether it be citizens group. I'm not sure what you all want to do, but I always emphasize that this person, reports directly to you, and it's one of the most important hires that you guys will be making here in the very near future. So.
Okay. Other questions from the commission?
I'm just reading through so I don't ask unnecessary questions here.
No problem. No problem.
I just found the recruitment guarantee, so, and the job description.
And that's, that's important, and not everybody does that. But to me, I'm not too worried about that, because I think we're going to find the right one for you. But if it doesn't work, there's always that we'll go back and reshuffle the deck and see what else we can do from there. And I've been involved with that a couple times, and the second go around produced some pretty good candidates. So, but hopefully we won't have to worry about that.
What's the league's record been in placing administrators, county or citywide, that have stayed within their job for at least 5 years?
Well, you know, the league, I think, has been involved in, golly, I want to say, 70 or 80 searches since they started doing that. I've done 20. I'm just thinking back, not very many of the ones, well, I will tell you, the two county ones that I was involved with was Ellis County, Barton County. Ellis County had a pretty good list of candidates, and they hired an individual, and I don't know all the details. Within 6 months, he was terminated, and they went and hired an internal candidate from that point. So I don't know all the details. I thought the search went pretty well. I thought we had some good candidates, but there was apparently a conflict between him and the chair at some point in time. Barton County recently went through that process again. I thought we had a good list. They ended up hiring the internal candidate, which was fine. Ultimately, I think they changed the title as we were finishing up those interviews from county administrator to, I think he's called director of administration or something like that. So, that's the only two counties that I've been involved with, and I'm not sure the league has done any counties. But I would emphasize that, again, I think while the searches, obviously city and counties are different, and we all know why. But from my perspective, we're going to see a lot of the same candidates slip over from city to county and vice versa. So I think we're looking at the same field of candidates, and I think there'll be some quality ones out there. So we haven't had a lot of county experience because, quite frankly, there's not that many counties in Kansas now that have professional managers. I think, as I said earlier, maybe 20 or so, and I know several of them. Whether any of them will be prospects, who knows? But we'll certainly find that out as we go through the process. So, but I can say without memorizing my list, but I think going back on the searches I've been involved with, we've had some pretty good luck, with the exception of a couple, and some of that's the political environment that the individual was hired in, and there's not a lot I can control about that.
Size of our county versus Ellis and Barton, I don't remember what the size of either one of them two are.
Quite a bit bigger.
Yeah.
You're 12,000 or so?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I can't say. I think Ellis would be, Hayes would be bigger. And probably Barton County bigger as well.
Yeah. Have you had any research into where sometimes size sometimes don't demand for how do you place a person in a smaller county? The job, how does it compare to larger counties? There's a difference between small counties and big counties.
There's difference in counties that have township and counties that are
there's another problem. Yes.
That are just blacktop.
Yeah, no, I when I said earlier, I think, as far as managers, whether you're a city or a county manager, I've known several county managers as good colleague friends of mine that, Douglas County, in fact, and I know from talking with them, it is different, and it's definitely different from a larger county to a smaller county. And I think the field of candidates you guys are going to probably look at, or that might come from smaller cities, and this would be a jump for those individuals.
Okay.
You go back east in some of the other states where there's some large county managers. Of course, in our state, Johnson County would be the largest, and of course they've got a county manager, a couple assistants, and what have you. But our experience has been mainly with really the smaller cities in Kansas. The largest city I've worked with on a search would be Emporia. And if you look at the league's resume, I think they recently did Liberal, but typically we're working with smaller communities that I think have a pretty good feel for what small communities are all about, both from the city side and the county side.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? We've been very fortunate in Marion County. We have a very, very good county clerk who's helped keep us on track, keep the county on track. Unfortunately, she's doing 3 full-time jobs, and that gets to be a bit much. But again, we've been very fortunate in that position to have that strong leadership.
Yeah,
Do you,
that's,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I guess, what would you see as one of the biggest challenges in the conversion from county, which has had strong leadership, from a county clerk position, and then the changeover to administrator?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the key differences that I mentioned, and I've, talking to some of my colleagues that have been on the city side, who now recently the Reno County Administrator Gary Meager, who worked in both sides, was really the relationship with the department heads. In the city, basically the administrator manager hires the department heads, and obviously in counties, several of those, the county clerk you mentioned, are elected officials. And so that's the most important thing this individual is going to have to be able to do, is effectively communicate with elected officials and develop that working relationship. And it can make or break you, but the ones that have been successful have done a very good job of being able to understand, that those individuals are elected. They're not appointed. They don't, typically they don't report to you, but we all work together. And so I think most people that are going to come into this position as applicants will understand that. But certainly that's something that I would, communicate with each of them to really, really understand that that's real and that's not going to change. That's there. So.
Well, yeah, you hit it on perfectly.
I'm sorry, I forgot to turn your mic back on. There you go.
Oh, so I was shut off
Yeah.
by the county clerk.
Sorry.
See how much control we have
It's
out
just
here?
easier for him,
Yeah,
for them to hear when our mic's not on.
Understand.
Runs your mic, all right.
Yeah, we need an administrator to
But-
do that too.
But the other thing I would add to that, just real quick, is, and I assume you've had this conversation with your elected officials and county clerk, she understands what's going on here, and how both sides got to work together to make that work. And so again, that will be the most important thing for the new administrator coming in the first 120 days, is to develop those relationships, not only with you, the governing body, but with the elected department head positions and the rest of the staff as well.
Yep, absolutely. Other questions? All right, I'm not. Tina, did you have any questions?
No, I don't, thank you.
Give us a final summary on how you can make us all proud that we made the decision to go for a county administrator in Marion County. How you can help us get there.
Well, one of my most important things I want to do is to develop a relationship with each of you, and that would be probably an in-person meeting when we talk about the profile. Again, I know the difference between city and county management. I've been on the city side, but I understand working with county managers, what their life is like, and I really developed a pretty good feel for that. A search for a city manager, a search for a county manager, to me is all about just that relationships and finding out who's out there, who's interested, not just putting an ad in the paper and see who responds. Granted, there's going to be some of that, but I think with my 40 years of city management, all in Kansas, that experience, along with the league's reputation and the organization that the league brings to the table, I think we can help you guys be successful in your search for your first county administrator. And I understand how important that is. That's a big step, and I know you've talked about it, for a couple of years, maybe not that long, but you've been mulling it over, and I think you guys have taken appropriate time to really think through that process, and we're ready to go, and we're ready to help you guys find that right fit.
Okay, very well said. Any final questions from the commission? If not, John, we really appreciate your time, your interest. You've given us a lot to think about, a lot of nods and heads of appreciation for good discussion. Thank you again for your time. We'll be in contact.
All right, Chair, thank you very much. You guys all have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, we're ready to move into county councilor time. So that means, let's start with some executive sessions.
First of all, before you get there, so far, we've heard a couple good applicants here.
Yes.
They've been very good, and what's the next step? What are we gonna do? Put it back on the agenda here, think about this?
What I'd like to do is get through Brad's issues and then circle back and then have a commission discussion.
Oh, okay.
And then we can make what you're saying, right? We can make a decision on how to proceed.
I'm probably gonna drop out here after this executive session, so I'll
Oh,
see.
okay, well,
Thanks.
we'll do
Okay.
this and then we'll come
Okay,
back.
that's fine. Thank you.
I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss potential litigation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 2, consultation with our attorney, attorney-client privilege with the commission, Brad, Tina, and Sharon, for 10 minutes. That'd be from 1:50 to 2 o'clock with open session to resume back in this room following the closed session.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Garing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried 5-0. We'll be back at 2 o'clock. We have a
You guys do all right. Take care of business.
Right. Thank you.
5 minutes, you said.
Do you have Randy, do you have a preference? First one or second one?
Can you come out of executive
Oh.
first?
Yeah, we need to.
We are out of executive session. No decisions made.
No, just take care of business.
This conference will now be recorded.
Sorry, everything's on. You're fine.
Okay.
Oh, you mean first or second applicant?
Yeah.
I think they're both worth talking about, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
It made it harder.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. On a separate issue, I move that we recess an executive session in order to discuss potential litigation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 2, consultation with our attorney, attorney-client privilege with the commission, Brad, Tina, and Sharon, for 5 minutes from 2:04 to 2:09. Second by Commissioner Becker. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
I will be gone. I will be out of this meeting.
Okay, thank you, Randy.
Thank you, guys.
Experience that, but.
Unless you hear Marion County Lake specifically talking about
This
that.
conference
They
will
never
now be
really listed it
recorded.
correctly.
Okay, we're out
Make
of
you think
executive,
it's out here. it's
Yeah,
out
no,
there.
yeah.
out of executive session, no decisions made.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Brad, it is now your
Let's
time.
change things up. There's 5 more items. Another executive session on contract negotiations.
Okay.
Time-wise, 10 minutes.
All right. I
Do you
move,
need Kurt over here for anything?
It would be ideal if he were available. He didn't respond to me this morning, so I thought maybe he had the day off.
yeah.
I also sent it to Jamie, and I didn't get a response from her either.
I move we recess an executive session in order to discuss contract negotiations pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, consultation with our attorney, attorney-client privilege, Commissioner Brad, Tina, for 10 minutes from 2:12 to 2:22.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Garing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried. We will be back at 2:22.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we are out of executive session. No decisions made. Litigation. How long?
Probably need to wait another 30 seconds before, I mean, just make sure you
Thank
don't
you.
co-
Yes,
make a
thank
motion
you.
early.
Thank you.
I mean, you can still figure it out, but.
Okay. I did say we're out of executive session, no decisions made.
Yes. All right.
All right, we're good. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss litigation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 2, consultation with our attorney-client privilege. The Commission, Brad and Tina, for 15 minutes, 2:22 to 2:37.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 4-0. We will be back at 2:37.
Dave, this conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we are out of executive session, no decisions made. We do have an action. I would move to authorize settlement agreement and release of all claims executed between Stonebridge Holdings and Roger Bowler and the Marion County Board of County Commissioners and the Marion County Board of Zoning Appeals.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gary. Any questions or discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 4-0.
And then I believe you'll sign this, Chairman.
Okay. All right, and then there was one more?
One more. 5 minutes should amply take care of that.
And this one is
Potential litigation.
potential litigation. All right. I move that we recess to executive session in order to discuss potential litigation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 2, consultation with our attorney-client privilege with Commission Brad and Tina for 5 minutes, 2:39 to 2:44?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2:44.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Becker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried, back at 2:44.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we are out of executive session, no decisions made. Do we have an action?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to move forward with resolution number 2023-14, authorizing the liquor and cereal malt beverage in unincorporated areas of Marion County.
Okay, we have a motion for resolution 2023-14. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion?
I think you better think about a charter resolution.
Okay,
I'll
Charlie.
investigate that and report back at next meeting.
Okay, very good. Other discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay.
Nay.
Motion carried 3-1. Commissioner Becker opposed.
That's all I have.
Sign that.
Let me send this around.
Oh, Tina's got it. Oh, it was done.
I didn't want to get ahead enough when it was this one really passed, so.
Okay. All right, anything else for us, Brad?
No, sir, that's it for today.
Can we add something to your list?
Yes.
Let's hope not. All right, that concludes the county councilor portion of the agenda. I'm gonna come back to the interviews that we had for potential firms for the job search on county administrator. Any comments from commissioners?
They're both good.
Yeah, yeah.
I was
It made-
really impressed with the gentleman from New York.
Yeah,
My big issue is he can't produce a candidate that we can afford.
I don't know, because some of the job details and stuff that they had, just because they're from New York, doesn't mean, like, a lot of New York is red. I mean, it's rural.
Well, I'm not talking political here.
No, I'm not saying, but I mean, politics do play into a price range sometimes, so conservatives definitely.
I just know that if you work in a certain environment, you're also working in an environment that has a whole different degree of compensation than what he's ever seen.
Just depends on what part of the state. I mean, it's no different than us in Johnson County.
I think
I've already
almost-
gotten an email back from him with additional comments.
Oh,
That way.
Yeah, he definitely made the choice harder. I've had experience working with John, or people that John has come up with, so there's a comfortableness there, but then again, that isn't always the way about going things either, because there was a comfortableness with somebody else.
yes.
And it
You
didn't.
want somebody local, you want
Are
somebody.
you comfortable
out of
enough to
state?
pay him 11 grand more?
No. So that's pretty hard. I just hate to. The guy was pretty phenomenal.
He was
No, he was very, very impressive.
And I just.
No doubt about that.
I appreciated his working environment, his county. He was focused county, and then he did city on the side. The other one was really city and does county on the side.
And that's basically what he said in his email.
Oh, he didn't send that one to me.
No, he just, well, he doesn't have,
He knows that the clerk is in charge.
Yeah.
Yes.
He
did
picked up on that.
He took notes.
He took notes. He paid attention to detail.
no, you said that to the other one. This one is the one from New York that sent me an email,
Okay.
so.
Another big part of our, and this is actually a comment that the second candidate made, John made, is, it was the first one, made the key point of a big part of this process is the visit with the commissioners and coming up with what the expectations for the candidate are. Because I think I started with where's the search, and then he goes, no, you really have to go back to where do the 5 decision makers want, and what do they expect in their candidate, and then he goes from there. I thought I was really impressed with that. It makes a hard decision for me.
Yeah, I wanted to shop local, but that hurt.
Yes.
I mean, just reading the brochure.
Yes. Yes. And that's why I tried to make the point of asking, you know, how can you guarantee to us representing Kansas from the other side of the country? I mean, he did a very good job.
Everybody does nowadays.
Very good job.
But yeah, the philosophies are pretty much the same.
Yes.
I mean, you're not gonna have a successful candidate unless that person can build relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the number one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gotta be fiscally astute,
Yes.
but if you can't build a relationship, you're 6 months out and done anyway.
Yeah, what did the doctor say about, he was on the board with somebody?
Philip from Saline County.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his connection, his Kansas connection is Philip and
He's also a Marion County
He's also a
connection.
Marion County connection. So he's got a direct tie to Kansas, but it's not that he every day is working with
Yeah.
cities across the state, which is something the league has a real leg up on if you want someone.
That's a daily thing for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just constant.
And as far as population goes, the league would be, think about some of the cities, they're bigger cities.
Oh, by far.
Are still smaller population than what our county, so I mean, but then again, some city could pay way better than counties. So, and it's because of the lack of elected positions in the city and having the elected positions in the county, so.
Right.
And the ability, the cities have utilities, and they have a little more flexibility on a lot of their rules and regulations.
Tina, do you have any other observations from the candidates?
Nope. I'm not getting in it.
We'll
I
see.
thought they were both very, I think they would both be
Yeah,
good options.
yeah, I think.
Well,
they're-
I was glad John said a county administrator is far different than a city.
Yes.
Because the
Yes, it
average
is.
person, the average citizen's gonna say, city, county.
Yeah, it's
No,
not.
it's different.
Brad, did you have observations or any input you'd like to?
No, not that you didn't already basically ask, and that one I was glad to hear, because
Yes.
I consider it to be, even though there was an indication in one instance that there's a lot of similarity, only philosophically, there's a significant difference in how they're run and how they're legally administered. It's
Absolutely.
fairly dramatic, so.
Absolutely.
And he also mentioned that, in these cities, the city administrator hires, no, they don't. City managers do it,
Yeah.
not the city administrator.
Right, that's right. Minister brings forward.
Yeah, and it's the body
Yeah.
that makes the decision.
I mean, they're both so good, and it really gotta come down, and I hate to do this, because I always wanna get quality with price. But when they're both quality, I gotta go with price.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in favor of the league.
Dave, your thoughts?
What, league, shop local,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be that way.
Again, I didn't think it was gonna be that tough a decision.
Right.
I
I really didn't, I did not expect.
No, I did, because the other gentleman is administrator right now.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And he is got more of a personal touch. He's a single individual. It's not a firm, that, you just, hey, you, low population, that's low on our totem pole.
Right.
He's an individual.
But he took the time to really, to me, he researched it.
Yeah.
He did his presentation that was targeted directly to our need. It
Okay.
wasn't just a.
If they were a little closer on price, I might move on.
So is the commission ready to take an action, or do you want, how do you want to proceed?
Yeah, you got a leaning? Somebody else?
I'm, either one is a winner.
All right.
But I agree with all the discussion that's been stated. My recommendation would be to go with the league.
Sounds like everybody's with the league.
Motion.
Tried to get, he basically, what we said, he said a tough call between 1 and 2, so. And I think I don't wanna speak for him.
Right.
I think he would try to think about fiscal responsibility.
Right.
So, yeah, I'd make a motion to go with the league, pursue finding us to start
The job search.
the job search candidate for a county administrator.
Very good. Motion by Commissioner Garing. I'll second the motion. Further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carried 4-0.
Unanimous.
Again, both were excellent.
Yeah. Wish he wasn't that good. I wouldn't feel so bad.
Feel bad. Very good. Let's see, wants to be, public forum, nobody here, nobody online. Commission comments?
I just want to thank the crew at County Lake for having a good week and a good fireworks show, and been safe as far as I know so far.
Good, yes, I heard that.
All the camp spots were filled.
Right.
And Isaac said that's the biggest crowd he's seen out there for fireworks.
Great. Great news.
I know they went to a lot of work, 3 of them, 4 of them. Were
I think it's a really good thing that Isaac is doing it, because, you know, just seeing how tight
Yep.
dollars are getting for some people, it gives them an opportunity to go to a public place and still not miss out.
There's twice as many boats on the lake last night as there was a year ago.
Wow.
Washington.
Very good. All right, any other commission comments? If not, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gearing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay, motion carried 4-0, we are adjourned. Okay, Jan, please.
Yeah, just